Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation to the Nepal Economic Forum. And this is a great pleasure to be here today with such a distinguished audience. This is a great opportunity for me to introduce myself in Nepal, because I consider myself still a little bit like a new. I have been here only for 3 months and a half. And my name is Teresa Deban Sanchez. I'm from Spain, and the new IMF resident representative. And your question is very pertinent and very useful, because it allows me to explain what I'm doing here. And then for that, I think it's good to look at the relationship of the IMF with Nepal. Nepal is a member of the IMF, and since the 60s, and we have a very long and very fruitful relationship, as we do with other member countries. And until 2010, we have an office here with the resident representative that probably some of you have met with my previous colleagues. We did a lot of work with Nepal when Nepal was a low-income country that had different challenges. And my understanding from the records is that it was a very successful interaction. And then Nepal, with the cooperation also with other agencies, definitely World Bank and other development partners, make a leapfrog and pass this stage. And after that, maybe because Nepal was not in trouble, because the authorities were not that interested, I don't know, there may be different factors, and Nepal business with the IMF were conducted from the office in India, and we just have some delegation visiting Nepal by every year to do this, what we call the Article 4 consultation, with an assessment of the economy every year, some technical assistance. So it was a little bit much different, lighter type of engagement. But I think that COVID had changed everything. COVID had changed, it was mentioned before in other intervention. We have realized that it was a major shock. When there are this type of shocks, countries that are vulnerable, like Nepal, and they needed and they wanted a stronger engagement with the fund. And then the relationship changed in the sense that the fund provides rapid financial facility to Nepal. And there was also the SDR allocation that probably you know, also other sources that were provided quickly. And the engagement in terms of policy dialogue and technical assistance during the COVID, that was very scary time, increased. And then, as a result, the culmination of all of this was for Nepal to engage in what we call an IMF program. 3 years IMF program is called Extended Credit Facility, that is aimed, we can discuss that in other questions, maybe to allow for the discussion, but it basically is helping Nepal to recover from COVID, but it's not easy. Recovery is not that just mudding through and putting the economy on automatic pilot. You need good macroeconomic management and a lot of reforms that could help Nepal to have a stronger policy making and prepare for potential other shocks. No? So that's why the authorities requested the reopening of the office, and I am here, and I'm very, very glad to be in Nepal. For those that are not very familiar with how IMF we work, all of the countries that are member of the IMF, that are almost all of the countries in the world, except Cuba and North Korea, all of them, as member of the IMF, they have an obligation, according to the Article 4, or the Article of Agreement of the IMF, that's why it's called that way, to subject themselves to an annual evaluation. This is done from the US, from France, for Finland, from Spain, from Nepal, India. Any country has to do that. And why? What is the rationale? Well, the rationale is that countries are members of an international community. Some countries are small, some countries are big. what they do affect other countries. You know, we have countries that are systemic. You know, if Brazil, for instance, goes wrong, then there is impact in the whole southern part of Latin America. So we need to monitor Brazil and to communicate to the rest of the international community what is going on there, what are the challenges, what are the policies. So there is an obligation of having this analysis or evaluation that, on the other hand, I think it provides a lot of benefits for countries, because they can have an analysis about what is going on in the economy at the macro perspective, what are the projections for the next 3 years. So that has been conducted in Nepal all the time. It will continue being conducted, because we have an IMF program that will stop. This will continue, and I think this is something that I'm looking forward to do that. We will have that at some point in the next few months, and it will be a very interesting piece to read.
Thank you.
No, very good. And also, I would like to piggyback on the intervention by the colleagues from the World Bank. I think it was a very good explanation of the pros and cons of for a country having a peg in the case of Nepal. I mean, the exchange rate regime and the assessment of that is a responsibility of the IMF. We look at that carefully. Is something that is up to countries, depending on what their objective. In the case of Nepal, the peg provides a reduction in volatility and uncertainty on trading with one of the major trading partners, that is India in this case. So there are advantages on that in the sense that when business needs to put together the business plan, they have certainty about this parameter. So that provides advantages, but on the other hand, required certain policies to be consistent with that peg. So what that requires a prudent management of domestic demand. That at the end of the day is what is driven growth in Nepal. So that requires prudence on the fiscal policy, and a monetary policy that is also responsive to different type of shocks in this case of demand. So the PEC requires an extra level of discipline. That's true.
No.
At the IMF, we are not on the business of advising on private sector matters. We don't have the expertise. There are other agencies that are advising on that area. However, our responsibility and our work with the government is to provide macroeconomic stability and certainty at the macro level that is a precondition for the business sectors to feel comfortable and to do their business. And this is the experience across the board. When you have countries that are well managed on the macroeconomic perspective, there is a credible central bank that have a monetary policy that everybody understands, everybody knows how they are going to react if something happens. They understand the mechanism. There is a budget that everybody sees that is being implemented in a prudent way, that there is a strategy for the sustainability. All of these pieces of information, and when they are coming as a part of the routine, then everybody understands how they work, then business people, and that we have seen that in many countries, they feel more comfortable when they have to make their decisions. When these elements on the policy making are not there or are not as developed, then there is uncertainty. When there is uncertainty, business people feel that they have to only think about the next 2 years, because beyond that, who knows what is going on. There is no maybe insurance mechanism, there is no hedging mechanism. So financial sector is another area in which we also need to work to develop further. So at the end of the day, you have all of these elements that are part of the elements of the IMF program that we have now in place with the government of Nepal. So then business sectors is going to flourish. It's a very interesting question, because I make a lot of self-reflection myself on that. It's a bit inevitable, no? So the first thing is that you come to Nepal and you feel in the region. I start to recognizing a lot of words that you have in common with Urdu, and then the food is the same. So there is a culture that is behind that is the same. And this familiarity has been very welcoming to me. No? So a lot of people ask me when I go to a restaurant, oh, this is very spicy for you, madam. No, I live in Pakistan, so I am completely vaccinated against spicy food. So this familiarity has been very helpful, and it's making me feel a little bit at home. And the history, I'm also discovering all of the connection in the region. It's fascinating. But on the other hand, I'm more related to my job. We are talking about very different countries, but both of them very challenging, and I'm really embracing with great enthusiasm Nepal. The case of Pakistan is a big emerging market with it's a continent, It's not a country. It's a continent, very diverse, diverse in many things. There are very different economic zones in the country because the climate and the people and the federalism. We have also a lot of problems with, challenges with federalism, a complex political economy, a huge attraction by investors to go. Well, it was very interesting as soon as the security situation improved in Pakistan. So I learned a lot, and it was a very challenging assignment in that sense. In the case of Nepal, some of the challenges are similar, but the scale is different. So Nepal is much more smaller, and the country that it's a landlocked country is very interesting. That reminds me my other assignment in Armenia. I was in Armenia before Pakistan. Being a landlocked country poses specific challenges to a country. And this is something that needs to be recognized by policies. And but a country, in the case of Nepal, in a very interesting transition from being a low-income country, remote, maybe with focus on different issues, that now is transitioning to middle-income country status, and how the country and how we could contribute to develop these institutions, as I mentioned before, in the policy making, central bank, the budget, financial sector, for Nepal really to unleash all of the growth opportunities that are there, and they are going to happen. So I think there's very interesting to experiencing Pakistan and Nepal. I'm really looking forward to fall in love with Nepal, as I did with Pakistan.
No.
I don't think. I think that is much more a complex set of issues that. Nepal, as I said, is in the transition from low income to middle income. Then you will have this development of this institutional setting. When that happens, investors will start to come and to see interest in, and I'm talking about not only on foreign direct investors, but also investors that will to finance Nepal development. Then they will have to have a credit rating that is very important, and to prove your Nepal credit worthiness. There's still, I believe, a lot of work to do in that direction, but it's going to happen. And then in that process, I believe government, private sector, financial sector, all of them has to work collectively, because they are benefiting from everybody. So when a country has access to markets, like for instance was in the case of Pakistan, this is bringing a lot of funding. This is bringing a lot of inputs for the country in terms of technology, in terms of money, but also bring discipline, because you are going to have a lot of more people in the world looking at you. And in my experience, this will happen. But it requires still a little bit of work to do. And I like it that people were very open and candid in making their questions and their remarks. And it was a little bit of a surprise. I have mentioned to some of the people over lunch that there was question about how we can get macroeconomic data, how we can understand what is going on in Nepal. I was a little bit surprised because, I mean, this is the business in which we are. No, I'm here with Sara Osti, one of the economists in the office at the IMF, and we work on that on a daily basis. So there is a lot of data, and we are not getting data because we are the IMF. We are getting the data are there. So Nepal has a set of macroeconomic data that are still in the process of improving. This is a non-ending process, but that are very good to understand what is going on in the country and to get the macro picture. They are produced by different agencies, the Central Bureau of Statistics, different ministries, the customs, etc. But the Nepal National Bank, every month, actually yesterday they published the data for August, they produce every month a very nice Excel file with all of the time series from the different macroeconomic indicators, GDP, inflation, import, export, balance of payment, fiscal, financial sector. Everything is there with a click. And so it's available to everybody. And I think they have a very friendly format. We use them, and then it's available to everybody. So I think that the information is there, but sometimes maybe there is a lack of awareness, that what you have in your own country. So I really, we like to for everybody to give credit to the Nepal National Bank to do that job, the Economic Research Department, that they are doing a very good job. And I invite everybody to go there and to consult and to approach our office. If you have any question, we can maybe help also as well on navigating this database, and we are here to help, definitely. Thank you. Because it's bringing me to explain what is in the IMF program, that is in the public domain, and everybody can consult. So, Article 4 consultations, as I explained before, they look at different items regularly, and they provide warning to the authority. You should look at that. You should be careful with that. Financial sector matters has been there all the time, and now, under the IMF program, we have now a specific measures to tackle some of the issues that will make the financial sector stronger in Nepal. One of them is that the definition and classification of loans, assets in the banking sector in Nepal, they are not fully in line with best international practices. So I think in coordination with the World Bank and with the Nepal National Bank, we have been working on aligning the definition. That way, when this new definition with new regulations that are going to be implemented, I think, this year, very soon, then we will get a picture of the financial sector about what is going on there exactly. I don't think that we expect a very, very different picture, but we are going to have the clarity that Nepal is fully aligned with best international practices, so there is no more question about that. You know what I mean? So that will be very good, no? And this is something, it's part of the IMF program, and I'm very happy to report that the Nepal National Bank is making a lot of progress on that area.
Thank you. So we'll take 2 questions.
This is a very good question because, again, related to the core of the IMF program, no? And in the case of the monetary policy, but I have other examples. The idea when we are working now is to bring the central bank to a much more kind of modern way of conducting monetary policy, more rule-based, more accountable, more price setting, more focus on the interest rate as the signaling. This is a process. It's not something that you can do overnight. When this system is being established, people understand that it's a way of communicating the monetary policy stance. Then, and this is the experience of other countries. No, then countries could move sometimes slowly out for having more like a control type of monetary policy and doing much more a monetary policy based on this type of price signaling. I mean, having said that, it doesn't mean that all of the macroprudential, we call them macroprudential parameter, will disappear. This is not the case. Still, central banks and the Nepal National Bank will continue having certain ratios or certain type of parameter that banks need to comply in order to have a good in order to ensure financial stability and a proper functioning of the system and a proper transmission of the monetary policy. No? So we are working on that. That will require to reform the NRB Act, and right now we have some technical assistance on that area. I think this is something that has been tried in the past. It was not easy, but will require to get the NRB Act to make the Nepal National Bank more independent, more accountable, and more in line with best international practices. No? So this is one of the examples that I think is